So good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get started. I'm so excited to have you here today. We have a nice presentation for you all. You can feel free to go off video if you'd like. We'll invite you back on video at the end of the presentation for Q&A. And to please mute yourself while the presentation is going on so that we don't hear some of your background noise, but we invite you to ask questions later on and to go back on mic, and hopefully we'll have a nice lively conversation as we wrap up today's session. So welcome to our friends near and far. We do a couple of sessions, information sessions for BIC admissions every semester. And our info session that's online is usually mostly welcoming students who can't get to campus. So even if you can get to campus, maybe you're on campus right now, maybe you're in the middle of class and shouldn't really be Zooming right now, or you're just taking a break at lunch. Or for those of you who can't get to campus, aren't in New York, are across the country or around the world, we welcome you to our BIC information session. Let me tell you about our agenda today. We have, I'm going to welcome you in right now at noon, and I'm going to tell you about the BIC program. I am the program director, Nancy Tagg. I'm also a professor in the program. This is a program that I founded and launched back in 2013. So I know it intimately. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited that you're here to join us today. At about 12:40, we are going to take you through the application process. I don't think is singularly unique that City College in CUNY has a complex application process, but it might be slightly more complicated than most. And so we've invited our graduate admissions processor, Michael Torres, here, and he's going to take you through that. Always helpful to see it in action, and he's going to take you through it live. And then, because I know a number of you are global students and are interested in joining the BIC program as an international student, we have the Director of International Student Services with us, Maribel Morua, who is here, and she will take you through some of the ins and outs of getting in as an international student, that visa process and those kind of hurdles that you have that are above and beyond what a number of other students could have. And could everybody please mute so we could not hear your background? I'm going to mute Khan right now because he didn't hear me. And then we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A. As I mentioned, that's when you can be free to go on mic and to go on video. But in addition to that, Stella, who is our BIC Comms intern, but she is also a student in the class of 2024. Stella is here with us today. She will be moderating the Q&A, not only at the end of our presentation today, but throughout. So if you have questions that arise as any of us are talking and you don't want to interrupt us, don't worry about it. Just put it into the chat. It won't be interrupted to us because Stella will be keeping track of that, and she will make sure that those questions are asked at the end when we do the Q&A. We're all sticking around at the end for Q&A. So I hope that time allows you all to hang out with us just beyond the presentation so we can do those Q&As. I should have probably made you co-host, Stella, so you can let these people in as they come in. But in any case, let's get started. I'm going to give you an overview of the BIC program. We are a graduate program in branding and integrated communications here at City College. You hear a lot. We refer to it as BIC because branding and integrated communications is a bit of a mouthful. We are located in the Hamilton Heights section of Harlem in northern Manhattan, which is an exciting place for this type of a program to be, because we are here in the world's media communications capital. And I love the idea. This is one of my favorite photos of Hamilton Heights in relation to the BIC program, because we really are at one of the highest points in Manhattan. And we kind of look over corporate America here in Midtown. So with the beauty of that is that we're on a lovely campus. It's an actual campus with grass and trees and all that kind of great stuff if you're not familiar with it. But we're just a subway ride away. So we let those executives come in all the time. Our adjuncts work in Manhattan. A number of our students work during the day in the middle of corporate America here. And then they are able to kind of take the subway in for a 20 half-hour ride up to Hamilton Heights and participate in the BIC program with just a little bit of space between that energy. And I think that creates a unique sort of energy here on campus at City College. BICsters come from all over, and I love this slide, and it might be a question that you have. It's like, who are the students that are interested or actually end up being in the BIC program? And it's really quite a diverse group from so many different ways of thinking. One way to think about it is what types of undergraduate degrees do our students come into the program with? And it's just such a variety. And I think that's what makes, or one of the many things that makes the student body so dynamic. So we've had a number of students come from an architecture background. We had one student come in from electrical engineering, lots of finance, plenty of information systems, industrial designs. Some of these may not be that surprising to you. Communication design, studio art, and marketing. Psychology is a place where we often draw from because obviously the study of branding and consumer behavior is really deep within the psychological space. But also urban planning, linguistics, social work, forensic geology, that's one of my favorites, law, women's study, and acting. Acting is, we have a number of students who've come in who've studied theater. And so that's really either as a performer or theoretically, academically, and writing and things like that. So all of these things kind of come together to create this really dynamic student body. But they also come from colleges all over the world and all over the United States. We have a student who came from Dartmouth, RISD, Cornell, Savannah College of Art and Design, Yale, Vassar, Morehouse, Lehigh, Howard, Pratt, Emory, Wesleyan, Sarah Lawrence. This is just representative of the students that have come in. And of course, we have tons of students who apply from the CUNY system, as well as from the SUNY system, because being located in New York City, being a public institution, a lot of those students already kind of have the CUNY system on their radar. And so we get a lot of applicants and a lot of students enroll from the CUNY and the SUNY system. We're also very international. So I'm excited to welcome a number of you here, hopefully who are coming from all across the globe. And we'll ask, or you can put it in the chat if you're coming from someplace other than New York City to take part in this information session. But we don't have any feeder country. It's not like when you come into campus and meet with the students, they're, 50% are from the United States and 50% are from one single country. They just come from everywhere. They right now we have somebody from Norway, we have somebody from Israel, we have somebody from India, a couple from China, and from Bangladesh. But we've also had students from Fiji, I love that one, Peru, France, had a number of students from France for some reason, Venezuela, Ecuador, but also from across the United States as well. A number of students from Florida and Texas. Our number one school that we've pulled from outside of the New York area is University of Kansas, which always surprises me. So just people from all over the place. So for those of you who are New Yorkers and want to feel like you're in a New York environment, you definitely will feel that. Lots of New Yorkers on campus and in our program, but also just a cross-section of people from the United States and all over the world makes an incredibly dynamic student body. And because it's so broad, it's hard for us to really narrow it down into one simple thing. And so what we like to say is what defines a BIC student is that they're curious. So that is one thing that every single BIC student has in common. And we like to say, enter curious, but leave curious with credentials, because if you are a curious person, you will never have all of your questions answered. And so we love that curiosity. And all we do is kind of feed it and fuel it while you're here, but then you go out in the world and you have a more informed way of thinking and fueling your curiosity. But then you have a degree and you also have a portfolio when you end. So structurally, the BIC program has 4 different tracks. We ask students in the admissions process to select a track. Our first and largest track is management and brand strategy. Those are the people who want to manage the complexity of branding and marketing communications from the brand side, as well as from the agency side. So that management track is pretty broad. And you are responsible for things like brand growth, organizational optimization, and project management. And then on the strategy side of it, because a lot of the characteristics of those two overlap. So on the strategy side, they are the people who investigate consumer insights and messaging that guide brand value, brand identity, and to amplify that out there in the space. Our public relations track is filled with students interested in internal brand communications or corporate communications, earned and shared media in an integrated effort. So there's a number of PR master's degree programs you can go to, but this is the only one that works within an integrated space. Also influencer marketing, which is really huge these days. And again, all of that within an integrated space. We have a creative track. Those are the art directors and the copywriters who create the dynamic content that build brand relationships with the stakeholders. So the stories that you see out there and interact with and are exposed to as consumers are generated and created and developed by creative people, art directors and copywriters. And finally, media, which is our newest track. It is the planning, budgeting, and negotiation of where we experience and build brand relationships of the brand. So all those media placements, the consumer journey, things like that. This is our most technical of the tracks. It's very tech heavy. Technology pervades all of these tracks, but particularly in media, because that is where a lot of the data analysis and optimization comes in. So if you're interested in the tech side of communications, the media track is something that you should explore. Even though you come in these 4 tracks, we like to say that when you leave, you are a T-shaped talent. And what that means is that you have broad understanding of the communications, marketing communications, again, broadly, so that wide top of the T, but then you have specialization depth. And BIC is the only graduate program to teach branding and integrated communications in an integrated way. It is unique, not just here in the CUNY system, not in New York, but across the country and around the globe. We are the only program that does exactly what BIC does, which is that notion that communications is so complex that it needs to work in an integrated way so that you can't learn it in silos. So those tracks, you can find programs, graduate programs for each of those individually, but only at BIC do they come together. So you learn the integrated aspect of it, but we also teach it in an integrated way. Let me explain a little bit more about that. We have an interdisciplinary focus. This is part of our DNA. Our belief is that the industry is merging. It's not just my belief. I just think it's factual. We believe that everyone should be at the table and understand what everybody at that table does. That creates a big toolbox approach for better discipline agnostic solutions. So if we're looking for the best solutions, we know that we as an individual profession, don't have it. We have it when we come together and collaborate. Our professors are all professional. That is by design. We have very few full-time academic professors in the program. We have a number of full-time professionals who come into the program at night and teach as adjuncts. It is remarkable. You don't need a textbook and the BIC program because your professors are working textbooks, which is great because in our industry, as soon as the textbook is published, it's out of date. So this gives you up-to-date experience, high-level expertise. They are at the top of their game. Many of these are in the CMO suite, in fact. So they are there at a very high level, been in the industry for quite some time. They have real-world knowledge, but also an active network. And that means they bring in guest lecturers who are part of their network, and they're at the top of their game as well. I like to say that at BIC, at night every week, it feels like a TED Talk because there's so many people coming in as practitioners, as guest lecturers, as well as the faculty that you have here. BIC is a portfolio-driven program. So when we say leave with credentials, you don't just get a diploma, you also deliver with a portfolio. There's two parts of that. One is that the portfolio serves as evidence. It is a key BIC differentiator. It is a great recruitment engagement tool. So what you're seeing here in this picture is our recruitment event that we hold once a year for students who are about to graduate. It's called the PIP, or Portfolio in Progress. And students are matched in kind of like a speed dating kind of situation in which they show their portfolio in progress. So it's not finished yet. They're developing it, and they're co-developing it in this way with the industry as well. So they're working on their portfolio while they're here in the 2 years that they spend here in the program. But they also bring in their professors, they bring in their colleagues, they bring in their peers, but they also bring in the industry to help develop that incredibly robust portfolio. It also means that the portfolio is part of the process of learning in the BIC program. It means reiterative learning. So once you leave your class, if you leave in the fall, in the spring, suddenly you start applying it to your thinking, and not just what you're doing in your classes, but in your individual portfolio. It means for deeper self-reflection and a reapplication of skills through an individual lens. Everybody's portfolio looks amazingly distinctive, very unique to you. And that is amazing, given that you move through as a cohort and take mostly the same classes in some instances. So it's the portfolio that allows you to feel independently driven through the BIC course work. We are also project-based learning here. It helps us contextualize material. Skills are developed through action and in-process critique. We tell students, welcome to your challenge network. You will be pushed and pulled and prodded to grow in your time through the program, both by letting in some guests to help you with those critiques and those process and those projects, but also through your peers. Your peers help you grow throughout your time in the BIC program. And then New York City is our playground. I mentioned that when I showed that picture of Hamilton Heights. You have access to amazing faculty, but also mentoring, recruiting. It's easy to apply for jobs while you're in the program if you don't have a job already. And even because we have classes at night, it means that you can apply for jobs while you're here, while you're making those connections, and you can work in those jobs and still have the opportunity to come to classes at night. So a lot of site visits as well. A number of our faculty will hold classes in Midtown at various points in the semester. And diversity is another part of our big DNA. We breathe it, we live it, we embrace it in a way that the industry dreams of, because the industry needs to, especially in upper and middle management, diversify. They look to BIC to help for that excellence. So they come to here for the excellence of the students, and they also know that they're going to be diverse. They have a diverse pool. I love this shot. It's taken in an elevator, and thank goodness for, on the right, Castro is really, really tall and able to capture us all in one elevator going down. I always say that the most diverse face in this picture is Nick in the back, because he was from Minnesota, and the rest of the students in this shot are all New Yorkers. Actually, Andy came from China. So in any case, diversity is one of the hallmarks of the BIC program, and City College, which is part of the legacy. You are here and connected to a college that has over 175 years of academic excellence. That's a shot outside of Shepherd Hall, which is where the BIC program is, right after a snowstorm. The BIC program was co-developed by the industry. Professionals make us relevant, so we remain relevant as professionals. I talk to the industry on a weekly basis, and we review our curriculum every month and talk to our board of directors and also our partners our colleagues and our friends out in the industry all the time to make sure that our program remains up to date and also future minded. And finally, the one way that I like to think of BIC is that the students graduate with a bucket of skills and expertise rather than into a specific position. When you enter the program, you might say, here's my dream job. But I think beyond that, BIC will prepare you with a bucket of skills, because as you go through your career as professionals, especially in the communications world, it will change rapidly. And because you've learned that flexibility here in the program, you're able to zig and zag as you go through. BIC is an MPS degree that stands for Master of Professional Studies. It is a terminal degree like a MBA or an MFA or a PhD. And the P in it, the professional, means that it is professionally oriented, and that it, which is great because you get a lot of people actually get tuition reimbursement from their employers as a result of it being a professional program, but that because it's professional, it involves a lot of collaboration as well. BIC teaches students how to think, apply what they learn, and then reflect on why it matters. So I think that in this industry in particular, you're going to always need to be active in what information is coming in, going to conferences, getting certificates. But applying to BIC, enrolling, and being a BIC student says that you have decided to dedicate yourself to that third part. Reflect on why it matters. I think you're always going to be growing. You're always going to be learning. And in the industry, you're applying what you learn. But one of the things that you can't always do when you're out in the real world is to reflect on why it matters. And I think that's why students get their MPS. And I think that's why it has such value to them personally, professionally, and in the marketplace as well. And it's all for a tremendous value. As I mentioned earlier, and as most of you know, City College is a public institution. A BIC MPS degree is around $30,000. That's for the entire degree if you are an in-state resident. If you're out of state, including international, the degree is around $40,000. And for those of you who've done your market research and looked around, our neighboring school, Columbia University, is a few blocks away from us, and they have a similar degree. It's not exactly like this, but it's the easiest one for me to compare. Their strategic, I think it's strategic communications master's degree is around $85,000. So that gives you a cost comparison in terms of what an incredible value this degree is. The other thing that while you're in here is, and while you're a student, you get to do all these things that you can't do when you're a student. So for those of you who are like, well, you know, I'm working right now and I'm networking and I'm doing all this stuff, but being part of a master's program gives you opportunities that you wouldn't have if you weren't in the program. And one of those is to engage in competitions. We don't do a whole lot here, but when our students do compete, they tend to win. So this is just my shots of exciting wins that our students have had over the years. We have gotten 6 One Club pencils. That is kind of like our Academy Awards in the creative space. We've had 4 merits, 8 client pitch winners, 2 ADC cubes. These are happy faces of students who've won those pencils. Those pencils are super heavy and really exciting to win. And the thing that I want to note here, even though I'm talking about creative excellence, every one of our teams that wins is an integrated team. So some of our students are maybe an art director, maybe a copywriter, but also a public relations practitioner, people studying public relations, strategists, managers. Here's a shot right here. We have 2 strategists, a copywriter, and an art director. So I want to point out that this is the reason why we don't lean in to competitions, but when our students enter, they tend to win, because I think an integrated model matters and makes a significant difference. More winners during COVID, more winners kind of post-COVID that's still masked, and more current winners and last year's winners as well. We also have a number of MAPE, which stands for Multi-Advertising International Program. In fact, you could ask Stella about this. She was one of our MAPE winners this summer. I always put this one in. Students win a lot of awards, but I can't share them all with you. But I always put this one in because Casey looks so great in that sparkly gown. And also because that's Al Roker holding that massive check, and how many people have photos of that. So I always include that. We are huge winners of the LeGrant Foundation scholarship, which is a diversity program that has been around for 25 years. This is last year, we got all the way up to 35. We have more LeGrant Foundation scholarship winners, and they get about $4,000. They get networking. They stay in there. They get amazing access to the network throughout their career. They've been around for 25 years. We've been around for 10. We've had 35 fellowship winners. That is more than any other school. So that's an indicator of the value that those students bring, and that they're recognized through this particular fellowship program. We have amazing industry partnerships. We partner with not-for-profits. This is Sandy Hook Promise. We partner, this is Memorial Sloan Kettering. Our partners in our capstones will pay us to partner with us. That's the level that they know that they're getting from us. In a corporate environment, we have corporate sponsors who pay $15,000 for the opportunity to work with our students, and $5,000 in the nonprofit sector, because the students just deliver stuff that nobody else delivers. So we have a lot of partnerships in all sorts of ways. Diageo came back 3 times, so we tend to have a lot of assets from alcohol brands. And then we have industry partners in all sorts of ways. This is our Mix and Mentor event that we invite all the industry to once a year. We have a Media Impact Compact. We have brought together 6 competing major media companies to help build talent in the industry. They compete for talent, and yet they felt the need was so great that they came in and they helped us launch the media track in 2022. I'm on the phone with these people all the time. So they support us in many different ways, including giving fellowships, including giving access to internships that other students wouldn't have, or other candidates wouldn't have, as a result of our relationship with the industry. And of course, if you're coming into a professional program, the biggest question is, do I get a job at the end? We do not do job placement per se, but we network you, we support you, and as a result, our students get lots of jobs. But we do support. We have a professional development. Hillary Black returns every other year to do a luncheon series in the spring, where she talks to you about building out those professional relationships and contacts, and helps you with all that kind of professional development. We have I mentioned earlier, our Portfolio in Progress recruiting event that happens every March, where we invite people to come in and meet you one-on-one in a really kind of relationship building event, not transactional. And these are I call this the logo vomit page. And this is where you'll see a lot of our students finding jobs and placement. A quick overview of just one of our graduates' journey. She entered as an IPG fellow. She was an interactive account executive at Gray. She received a LeGrant scholarship. She became an AdColor Futures and a CCNY great grad. She graduated in 2015. She was immediately promoted to a senior account executive. I think the week after she graduated, she shifted that summer because she got poached by 360i, became a senior account manager. It was very quickly promoted to account supervisor, and then got poached on the West Coast, and is now at Cupertino as a brand manager at Apple. I love this journey because it shows that our students accelerate quickly in their job. It's not just that here's somebody who's zigging and zagging on the agency side and then going over to the brand side, and also the quality of the agencies and the companies that she's in. But that ability to rise up quickly happens once you get your BIC MPS degree. I'm going to play our sizzle reel for you before I turn it over. Give you some quick facts before I turn it over to our to Michael, then Maribel. This is work that our alums have done. And I want to point out again, even though it's visual and there's music and it's really hot and kind of sexy, this is not just our creatives. This is coming from our strategists, our managers, our our public relations people. So I want to put that in your head as you're watching this. Oops. So back to the still screen. Thank you for the I love that reel, and it's a little out of date now. So a lot of fun. You see me bouncing. I really shouldn't do that because I'm still on camera. So you BIC Basics. We are a full-time program. We do have a few part-timers that come in, but we are essentially a full-time program. It takes 2 years to get through. In part because we stretch that out. We don't have classes in the summer because we're portfolio driven. We like our students to have time to be able to develop that portfolio. It is 36 credits, which is one of the advantages to an MPS as opposed to an MBA, which is, I think, one of the choices that some of our students are looking at. Do I do an MBA, which is more credits, takes longer, more expensive, or do I do an MPS, faster, fewer credits? 9 credits per semester. That's what it allows us to space it out for those 2 years. All of our classes are held at night. All of our classes are held at night from 6:30 to 9. That allows our adjuncts to rush from work so that they can teach at night, but it also allows you as students to have an actual job. You can have a job like as a dog walker, you know, I'm just getting through and getting some money in my pocket. 2, we have students who are high-level professionals, senior account executives who take the program. So it gives you that latitude to during the workday to figure out what it is that you want to do and then come into the program at night. Again, we have 4 tracks: creative, art direction, and copywriting. management and brand strategy. Our third track is media, and our final track is public relations. We usually let in about 8 students per track, so that means we have around 30 to 35 students in each cohort, which means we have about 60-ish students in the program at any given time. This is an admissions deadline calendar. We have 4 entry points. Our upcoming one is December 1st. So if you're interested in applying, get it in by December 1st. Michael is going to take you through how to do that from a really, hands-on point of view. But I would suggest, I'm not going to go through all this. Our last one is in June 1st with a decision notification on the 14th. As Maribel will tell you, our Director of International Student Services will tell you, the earlier you get in as an international student, the better it is for you. So I would advise anybody who's interested in either applying now or thinking about those other entry-level points to take a screenshot of this, rather than me take you through each date individually. This is our BIC Admissions Made Easy. This is what BIC wants. So Michael's going to show you, how do you get into graduate school as an application process for City College, but then you go through an additional process in which the BIC committee also makes some selection for you. So Michael will take you through some of these, but he'll also talk about more broadly getting in as a graduate student at City College. And I'm not going to go through this one by one. Again, I would take a screenshot of this if this is something that you're interested in. If you can get to campus, so I know a number of you can't, we're recording this, so if you want to see it afterwards or share it with your friends, but if you can get to campus, in November, we have a number of events that are going on that are specifically aimed at admissions. And one is November 6th, 7th, and 8th. Is our BICster for a night. So you get to sit in our classroom. So if you want, it's also our open house is on Wednesday, and also our BIC lecture series is on Wednesday, November 8th. So November 8th is a big day within that. So we have our open house, we have a BICster for a night going on that week. And we also have our at BIC lecture series. So right now, Stella is putting in the chat invitations for that if you want to register for any of these. So if you're on campus, we'd love to see you. Please come by. And then we have another online event for how media works. So we'll talk a little bit about the media track and information on that. And that's happening on November 16th. So we have a number of events happening before that December 1st deadline. And Stella, again, is putting the invitation to register in the chat right now. So if you're interested, copy that and do that in a bit. So I'm going to turn the screen share over to Graduate Admissions Processor Michael Torres. I'm going to stop my share, and Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here, and thanks for taking our students through that. Let me see if I can find my silly mouse so I can stop the share. Okay, Michael, on you. I'm going to hand it over.
Thank you, Nancy. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you guys. I'm glad you guys showed up today. I never seen that video actually, Nancy, so it was a really nice video. You say it's dated, but to me, I mean, I've seen those commercials not that long ago, so I don't know. It's nice. It's nice to know that, our world really does operate on the notion of, media, commercial ads, right? And of course, no one really takes in consideration the people who actually take the time to make these things and really organize it, right? And that's where sort of like this program helps organize and hone in the skills for respective students to learn how to get these projects in motion. So it's really nice to know that we have that program here at City College, along with a plethora of other programs here, but we're going to just focus on BIC for today, of course. Little introduction of myself. My name is Michael Torres. I'm both a graduate processor here at City College, and I'm also an adjunct lecturer here at City College for the psychology department. So I've been here for quite some time here at City College, so I pretty much know the ins and out how the application process works. Been doing this for about like 3 years. So of course, if you have any inquiries, be sure to share with me those inquiries. You can pass along your questions to our graduate admissions at ccny.cuny.edu email. We have 3 people that pretty much do the whole processing, a big bulk of the processing of those applications. You have Pauline Pabon, my boss, amazing woman. who's the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions. Then you have the Senior Processor, Rosalia, who also typically sends out information as to what is missing in your application, what's going on with your application. And you have me, of course, doing that as well, answering any email inquiries. So of course, if you have any inquiries, any questions, any, bump in the roads while trying to submit your application, know that you can reach out to us. Like I said, you can find us here at our general email, graduateadmissions@ccny.cuny.edu. So, of course, as with anything, we have this amazing program called Branding Integrated Communications Program here at City College. Now, how do we get to applying to this program? All right, so the first thing you want to do, of course, is go to whatever web browser you have, right? And while you're here at this web browser, you're going to want to, of course, type in our school website, right? So you go to ccny.cuny.edu, you enter it, and then you're going to hover over this admissions tab, right? Admissions tab right here. And then you're going to go to where it says information for graduate students. And then right here is going to take us to our latest updated website. Sorry about that. What's going to take us to our latest website. It's still actually being updated by one of the BIC students here from the program as well. Her name is Suchi, so she's doing a really good job at trying to update this website as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and hover also where on top of this, where it says apply now, you're going to hover where it says graduate students. You're going to find a plethora of other things pertaining to the applications and admissions here at City College. So it's going to give you information on non-degree. It's going to give you information on transfer, second degree students or transferring credits. You can find all these different information here, any forms or documents. For any student who's an international student, you can look on to here, forms and documents to get more information. And then, Nancy had noted about deadlines. So again, if you feel that you have forgotten the deadline that we have presented, you can always hover over to the Divisions of Humanities and Arts section. And then here you'll find Branding Integrated Communications. And then right here, you'll find the deadline. And then when you should hear by, pretty much good estimate of when you should hear by. But in any case, let's hover over to the application, right? So you go to graduate students right here, apply now, right? And then as you land onto this page, you're going to go and click on create account. Once you go here, you're going to put in all your information, right? And then you're going to click submit information. All this information is then later going to populate into I guess you could say your application, and then you log in. So I'm going to log into my fake account that I made here, right? And we're going to see how the application actually really works. So there's several things that go onto your application, right? Nancy had noted that we're going to need your unofficial transcripts. We're going to need your proof of degree, letters of recommendation, a personal statement, and then supplemental materials, depending on which section or track that you're doing from the BIC program, certain things may change. And then, of course, if you're an international student, you may have another requirement, which is getting a English language proficiency exam taken, which could be a TOEFL exam, Duolingo exam, a Pearson or IELTS exam. In any case, we go to this program and information, right? I'm gonna hover right here, and then you're gonna click on the school of interest. We're gonna be under, for the BIC program, it's gonna be under the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, right here. And then afterwards, you can pick the program, of course, and you guys are, of course, branding and integrated communications. You hover right there, and then you click on intended degree. Click on MPS. Do not click readmit. That's only if you were a student prior, but of course you are all a new student here for the program looking for admissions for the fall 2024 semester. All right, you select there, and then you indicate here whether or not you've ever applied. So again, the program can be competitive, right? So of course, you know, you're not just looking at just yourself applying, you're looking at other students also applying to the program. So, you know, sometimes you may not get in the first round, right? But that doesn't mean that you cannot go ahead and try to apply again with the new skills, or pretty much really speaking to what makes you stand out as a candidate. All right. So in any case, you fill that out, fill out anything that has like an asterisk sign. All right. We click on save and continue. And then we move on to providing personal information. So over here, you have my name, my last name, you put that there, that's essential. Your date of birth, this is not my date of birth, just saying. Everything here, I just put 1, 2, 3, so, but it's all right. So yeah, so you put your date of birth, very important. Over here, it gives a description of exactly what we're looking for. I know in some countries, they tend to move it the other way around. I don't know who's right, if it's the day, then month or year that's supposed to be the accurate one, or the month, day, year. But in any case, right here we have it explicitly noted, the month, day, year. All right. And then if you want, then we ask that you also include here your gender, right? So whatever you fall under, you can indicate there. And then if you have a social security number because you are a US citizen or resident, then you put this here. If you do not have one, you do not have to put one here. Eventually, we'll be able to populate for you some type of SSN or applicant ID number to be associated with your account. If you are a CUNY student, please do include here your EMPL ID. That makes it easier for us to then enter your application information instead of us trying to scatter throughout the CUNY system and try finding you. Right here, you would go about and indicate your ethnicity and then your contact information. This is not my personal information, so if anyone here is trying to figure out where I am, you're going to find me at my workplace. This is my work address. So you would include here your mailing address, which is very important that you include that. Even if you're not in the United States, you can include this here. Put in from whatever country you're from, whatever other state you're from, that's okay. You can include that here. All right. Right here, this allows you to put the country that you're in. So that's why if you don't have a state, like let's pretend from Uruguay, right? Then this wouldn't be necessary. But in any case, let's go back and put United States and then New York. Okay. And then you put in your phone number right here, whatever your phone number is, how long you've been living in that specific address, and then your permanent address as well. All right. Then you would save and continue. Following this, we ask that you include also your citizen status. This is indicated as a required field. So again, Nancy had noted that we have students that are applying from a whole bunch of other places, not just from New York. And it's great. We want people from other countries. We want people from outside of the States. We want people from in the States, right? Because everyone comes with different ideas, different concepts that could be great and potentially pose as great conversational pieces in the classroom and allow for different ideas to float through that would never be considered, right? So again, here you can indicate your citizen status, whether you are a permanent resident, student visa holder, temporary visa holder, etc. Right? And then you include that information here, and then your country of birth. That's important. And we save and continue. Following this, you're going to include, of course, your education history, right? So whatever schools you've attended, even if it's not from the US, you can include that here in this educational history tab. All your undergraduate history, you can include here. Now, you can also include here the high school that you attended. We only ask that you just provide us with your undergraduate transcripts, whatever your country or whatever your state calls and deems a university, college, or college, okay? Include that information. We do not need high school transcripts. We're not requiring that. Just give us just your undergraduate, university, or college transcript, okay? Standardized tests are not required. This program does not require any GRE, so you're fine. Do not include any GRE. It's not necessary. But again, if you're interested in providing some type of GRE, you can, but again, it's not required and it's not a part of the program. Following by this, you're going to have to include your personal statement, which is very important, right? This is what's going to help you stand out compared to all your other individuals. I mean, you know, it's a program, right? And when it comes to a program, you know, the program wants to sit down and select, you know, who are its best candidates, right? So in trying to select who are the best candidates, we ask that you go in detail in your personal statement. And for the BIC right here, it indicates exactly what we're looking for. Well, it indicates there what we're asking for you to include in your personal statement. So pretty much a 500-word essay that addresses the candidate's interest in studying the branding integrated communications at City College. Right here, you can also include a little bit about yourself as well, right? You want to make it personal, but you also want to address the topic that's being asked. All right. And then, of course, your resume. A lot of people forget to scroll down and they just see that first top part. Include your resume, right? We want to know your history. You know, although, you know, some people where they're like, well, I'm joining here to get experience. Yes, that's great. But also include any history that you have that you deem that can be used as something to help you get through the program, right? We want to know that students are willing to learn, have taken the time to do other things aside from just go to school. All right. And then over here, we have an additional information section. If you have any additional information, as in like some essay that you're interested in indicating, you can put that there, or some pictures, some type of portfolio. You can, aside from what is going to be required in the supplemental, if you want to add that here, you're more than welcome to add here. There's just additional information, not required. Okay. Over here, the BIC program has a supplemental application section, right? So this is going to be for everyone across all 4 tracks. I know you have your personal statement, which is up here. This is separate from the supplemental section. This personal statement, of course, like I said, 500 words, separate. Following that, you have to do the supplemental section. So right here, it's going to indicate that it wants you to select which interest you're in, right? So if you're interested in creative, management, brand strategy, media, public relations, then include that here, right? We ask that you do select. And then afterwards, you're going to then include what's being required from you, right? So applicants must submit 2 samples of writing, either it be academic paper, capstone project, research, analysis, etc. Something of academic nature or writing nature, and or a professional work that give dimension to their candidacy, right? A 3rd sample must be a passion project. So that's the 3rd object that you have to add. Right here, as you see, we have 3 different links to upload. So you do not put all of them into one, right? Because obviously, I don't even think you'll be able to upload that big of a document. So it's split up for you to take the time and, you know, upload each document one by one. By the end, you'll do this passion project. And what it is that it's something more personal than you've done for yourself, community, or family. It could be something that informs your creativity or powers your life. Examples might be a case study of a community garden you helped grow, a photography expos you've worked on in your free time, or collection of poetry. The point of this submission is to show us what inspires you. In other words, what's your personal fuel, and we're allowing you to package it any way that you wish, right? Nancy has taken the time to pretty much select, you know, what's a great way that could, that we can review our applicants alongside other individuals, so that we know, hey, these are the candidates that we're admitting to this college. These are the individuals that we're going to bring into this program that are pretty much going to help build the future in terms of media, in terms of advertisements, in terms of a whole bunch of different things, you know. You know, we're employed by several different companies, and you know, we help operate them. And we saw the history of one student who literally went through so many different changes and positive changes and growth, right? And certainly that can be you. And of course, that starts with you submitting a good application. So make sure you take your time with this stuff. And let's see what else to know. So that's pretty much a big bulk of the application, right? Afterwards, if you scroll down, if you are, for anyone who is particularly a creative, interested in the creative track for the BIC program, you scroll down, right? And what you're going to do is that you're going to indicate right here a specific portfolio consisting of at least 2 print campaigns consisting of 3 ads each. The client's products are of your choosing. The campaign must reveal conceptual thinking as well as executional finesse, proficiency in Adobe Creative Suite, in design, Photoshop, Illustrator, is expected and should be demonstrated in your submission. Your preferred interest in either copywriting or art direction should be included in your statement of intent, aka your statement of purpose. All right, so right here, you'll be able to upload those documents. And if you can't upload them and you prefer to upload them via like a link, you can do that here as well. Or you can do all 3 so that just in case these uploads don't work, you have a link that does work. All right, but again, this bottom section, which sometimes people tend to forget, is a part of the creative section. All right, and I just have one more minute to share with you all. And this is really just for everyone here. Official transcripts are only required if you're admitted to the City College of New York. Other than that, we just require for our review and for Nancy's review alongside the other professors is that you just provide your unofficial transcript. All right, your unofficial transcript that provides a whole history of your grades, your marks, your letter grades. We ask that this document be sealed, right, if it's physical, or you can decide to have it sent to us digitally through Parchment Clearinghouse. And then we also take official transcripts sent to us by email. But it has to be sent directly from your registrar's office, right? That's if you're admitted to the program. Also, we ask that you include your conferment of degree. It's very important that we have this because sometimes, individuals don't have their conferment of degree and they cannot start the program. So make sure that you have graduated and make sure that you keep us up to date once you receive your degree. And letters of recommendation, lastly, are uploaded by your recommenders. They're not uploaded by you, they're uploaded by your recommenders. So you want to make sure that you're very selective of who is recommending you, right? You want to make sure that it's an academic professional. You want to know it's someone that that can speak to your work ethics, right? In your from your resume, a supervisor, internship supervisor, someone that could really speak about how long they've known you, the work that you're able to provide. All right, and include you must ensure that their letter has an official letterhead, and as well that their email that they're using is a licensed email. We do not accept student forwarded letters of recommendation, so make sure that you get the recommender to submit that. And that's pretty much it. I hope to see you all. I hope to be reviewing all those applications soon. But in any case, thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for looking into this program. It's an amazing program. We've been operating for some time. Clearly it works and it's still here. It's still ongoing because we're updating it continuously. All right. So thank you all. Have a good one. Take care.
Thank you, Michael. That was amazing. I appreciated it. It's so helpful. I mean, I think when everybody starts the process, it's like no big deal. But then when you're in the weeds, it's like, oh, I wish I had somebody that took me through it step by that. I would love to introduce the Director of International Student and Scholar Services, Maribel Morua.
Thank you so much.
And I just wanted to say, I do this just so I can see her because she's such a busy person that otherwise I would never see her. So Maribel, I'm going to turn it over to you and thank you because I know we have a number of international prospects here in the grid today. So It's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy, for including me. And it's always great to see you. And Michael, that was wonderful. Thank you for that presentation. So yes, I'm the director of the Office of International Student and Scholar Services. And basically for international students, we're the last stop in the process. Those of you who are abroad will need to apply for a visa in order to enter the US, begin your studies. So once you're accepted into the college, the first thing that you need to do is to contact our office. We will provide you with the document. It's an I-20 application. The I-20 is the form that you will receive from us to help you apply for the visa. It basically tells the Department of State that you've been admitted into an accredited institution that is able to house you and have you here while you study and get your degree. So the submission of the I-20 application form supporting financial documents. In my next slide, I can go into that a little bit more. This is always subject to change. Right now, tuition and fees, as Nancy mentioned earlier, it's about $19,663 per semester. So cost of living, $30,663. So you'll need to show us that you have at least $50,236 in an account. You can sponsor yourself. Family members can sponsor you. Doesn't have to be just one sponsor. You can have multiple sponsors. It could be your friends. But we do need to receive these documents, review them prior to issuing the I-20 form. Because when you go to apply for your visa, the person that interviews you wants to make sure that you have enough funds to live and study in the US. Unfortunately, it's assistance for international students, financial assistance is very, very limited. You're not eligible to apply for any federal or state grants. So pretty much your stay in the US depends on you financially. We accept bank letters, bank statements. If you have family members, relatives, or friends who live in the US and New York and who are willing to provide room and board, we accept letters from them also indicating this, and we deduct part of the requirement, financial requirement, from the total expenses. So that it's a little bit lower, because I know, it's not easy sometimes showing all this money to be able to get the visa. The documents cannot be older than 3 months. And again, we will work with you. We'll help you complete the documents, whatever you need. But again, the following, yeah. So once you submit everything to us and everything checks out and we issue the I-20 form, we will email you the form. After COVID or during COVID, we were allowed to send the I-20s by email. So that was wonderful, because before that, it was always problematic sending it by mail, and it caused delays. So now it's as simple as just sending it to you by email. Once you receive that, you are required to pay a $350 CVIS fee. And once you pay the fee, then you're able to complete the application for the visa, which is the DS-160. That has an additional fee, and actually it was just increased from 160 to 180. And then you can schedule your appointment for the visa interview. We recommend, and Nancy did talk about that earlier, that you apply as early as possible, because some countries do not offer appointments that are like right around the corner. I was checking, someone's here from Colombia. I checked, and the visa appointment wait time is only 3 days for Colombia, which is wonderful. But other countries have 100 days, 156 days. So you have to apply early so that you can get in on time. You're able to arrive in the US as early as 30 days prior to the program start date. And once you arrive, you'll need to report to our office, letting us know that you've arrived at least within 10 days. Because the next step for us is to report in this CVIS immigration system that you are here and that you're in compliance with the regulations. We'll give you a document, student contact sheet that you'll provide to us. We'll need a copy of your visa, the signed I-20, I-94, which is an entry record document, and we'll provide all those details once you're here. As an international student, the most important thing is to maintain your status, to remain legal during the time that you're here. As an international graduate students, you'll need to register each term for 9 credits. So that's full time. I just want to say, I'm not sure if it's on the next slides, but international students, the main goal, the main objective of the program is to attend classes. Work is secondary. So as an international student in this program, I know that you will be required to do internships, and we will talk about that when the time comes. We will give you authorization, but you're not allowed to work without authorization. So maintaining your full-time status is priority. You're allowed to take a reduced course load only once if it's for an academic reason. And that would mean that you're registered for at least 6 credits instead of, or no less than 6, I'm sorry. Medical reason, if you cannot attend at all, or if you can take 2, 3 credits, that's allowed as long as you have a medical letter that you provide to us. And then during your final semester, if you only have 1 course left to take, we can authorize that as well. But again, I can't stress the importance of registering full-time each term. During COVID, students were allowed to take online courses. Now, starting this semester, students are again required to do in-person classes. So out of the 9 credits, you will be allowed, if necessary, to take 1 in person. I mean, 1 online, I'm sorry, and the rest have to be in person. This is my contact information. Again, Maribel Morua, that's my email. You can email me any questions and I'll be happy to follow up with you. Thank you so much.
That was awesome, Maribel. I'm sorry, I hope I didn't, I moved the slide forward. I wasn't sure if you had more information. I didn't want you to think I was telling you you had to stop. That was so helpful. I mean, both of you,
Thank you.
Michael and Maribel, I mean, this is kind of like the nitty gritty that is sometimes an obstacle to, you know, getting into the program that you could be super suited for, but you get into the weeds of this stuff. And the next thing you know, you're delayed, you're backed up, you're, you know, all of those things. So this is a tremendous help. I also wanted to point out something that I should have added up front. And this, it kind of intersects with you, Maribel, is that BIC has recently been designated as a STEM program. And that means upon graduation, students can work if they get a job and apply for their OPTS for 3 years. It had been 1 year and now it is 3 years. And so Maribel, you understand that better than anybody. Have I explained that correctly?
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, it's really awesome. So students will graduate, apply for the first 12 months of employment authorization. And then if they have a job with a company that participates in E-Verify, which most do, then you can apply for an additional 2 years of employment. So making it a full 3 years. So that was really great.
Yeah, I mean, for international students, I mean, I actually, when we got designated last year, I had a couple of students send me flowers.
Yeah, you deserve it.
They said, you have no idea how meaningful this is.
Yeah, it is.
I know, and I should have mentioned that as well. And so totally, Maribel is your go-to person for this. I think this office is spectacular. They are, it's like every other office at City College. We have fewer people than we should have, and yet You guys are so responsive and just do such a good job of it. And I feel like the international students are so well cared for.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot to us. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's just so true, and everybody should know that. So we have come to the end of the program where we deliver information to you, but we're ready to take questions from you all. I know that Stella's been monitoring the chat. I think she might have 1 or 2 questions, but also please continue to put them in the chat if you don't want to kind of come forward and go on mic, but also feel free. We're at the end of our session. We should all be a little bit relaxed. I know it's lunchtime, so it's not like anyone's had a beer or a glass of wine, but I hope we've relaxed you enough so that you feel comfortable asking those questions. And also ask questions of Stella. We have the advantage of having a current BIC student in the grid right now. So Stella, I'm going to turn this over to you to kind of monitor those questions, and then we'll just open up the mic essentially to anyone that has any additional questions.
Okay, great. So yeah, so we have about 3 questions. So the first one is from Kyle. First question is, can the resume be longer than a page, like a curriculum vitae, don't know how to say that, style? I don't know if that's for you, Nancy.
Well, I see Kyle's also come on camera, so he's really interested. Interested in the result. I would say most resumes are just a single page, but there's no standard here. We're not saying if you have, we cut it off at 1 page. So it could be as long as the resume that you've currently got. But we like to say, especially in a professional environment, and you know this too, is that it's so easy to kind of tailor your resume to whoever you're targeting. And so for this one, if you feel like a longer resume works for you, if you feel like a shorter one works for you, it's within the admissions context. And what do you think we should know about you? So it's not quite the same as sending it to an employer who's looking for maybe you to be more succinct or anything like that. So we're happy from our evaluation point of view of looking at a two-page document if it fits better for you.
Great. And then another one from him, I think this also might be for you, Nancy, is does the creative track require the spec projects, or can a larger portfolio be submitted in lieu of? I would believe the spec is required because of the proof of concept, but you can probably
what we tend to do is students who have a fuller portfolio, if any of their work in their portfolio satisfies what we're asking for in the spec piece, you can submit the link and then indicate to us, I want you to look at these 2 projects because I think they satisfy the BIC application. Or you could segregate them. You don't have to do anything from scratch if you feel like it already satisfies it. And that is for people who, I mean, we've had students that took summer classes, at SVA and developed some spec work there. We've had professionals. I mean, the work that you saw in the sizzle reel at the very end, the Love Me Not for Beats by Dre was done by Castro Desroches, who was a senior art director when he applied. So obviously he already had that work in his existing portfolio and submitted it to us. So we have students with a range of skill sets. In the end, it's an evaluative tool. So the spec work is if you've never worked in the industry and we want to see your Adobe Creative Cloud skills, but also how well do you think conceptually? But then if you've also done it, just send us a link, tell us what it is. And I think, Michael, from your perspective, so we're kind of like second level evaluation, and it has to go through the graduate admission site first, and they'll essentially check and validate, yes, this is what you've done. We're a small program, and if you have any questions as you go along, you can always ask us as well. And Michael and I will have conversations as well. I'll say, oh, this looks like it's done. And they went, oh yeah, we weren't quite sure. So we have those conversations. But the good news too is, we've got your email here, you've got our contact information. If you ever come across a bump in the road, you can always reach out to us and we can answer those questions directly as you're applying it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kyle.
So the next question is from Khan. This is for Maribel. Can someone on F2 visa be able to apply?
Sorry, yeah, so the F2s are the dependents of the F1. They can definitely apply, but an F2 is not able to register full-time. So they would have to change to the F1 student status to be able to then take on the full course load. But yes, you can apply as an F2.
Maribel, is that a situation of timeline? So you can apply as an F2, but while you're doing that, you should, if you're intending on actually enrolling, you should probably go to the
Yes,
F2 process.
absolutely, because the F2 will not be able to apply for OPT. And that's basically, so you'll get a degree, but you can't really work on it, so.
So does that mean you can be admitted and attend classes, or
Correct.
should you? So, but you should, in order to take full advantage of
Exactly,
the degree, do it, right? Okay.
exactly, yes.
Okay, great. I hope that answers your question, Khan. We have another question from Adam. This might be for Michael. Do you have any instructions or perhaps a guide for a personal statement? Or Nancy, if you want to jump in on that too.
I'll answer that, Adam. So the personal statement, I mean, it's pretty general, in which applicants who are interested in whichever of the different tracks that they submit that 500-word essay. That essay is personal to you, so we do not provide any specific example. But again, you answer it to the best of your ability as to what you believe, or how, not what you believe, but what makes for your interest into studying it, right? So again, that it's a very general question for you to answer. So there's not really an example now, because then that also kind of would be giving you the answer too, giving you an idea. But no, it's pretty straightforward. Just answer what you believe, what you would indicate based on your experience, what got you to be interested in the program. And if you want to share a little bit about yourself, include that as well. But again, that's very personal.
I think that's exactly right, Michael. We don't give examples of personal statements. We tend not to give examples of passion projects unless people's brains are blowing up. It's like you want this to be your application. And I think about, I mean, the program is not that old. This is our 10th year. And I think about those students that had nothing to look at that very first year, and they did a great job. And so I think that everybody can do a great job in their application. And I will have to say, Adam, to you, I really look at that personal statement means a lot to me. And I think the less generic you can make it, I think is good guidance. The more that it looks like you understand the program. The students who look like they've really investigated, once in a while, I'll tell you kind of anecdotally, we'll get a personal statement that looks like all they did is they changed the name of the college. And it looks like it got sent to somebody. It got sent to 3 other programs. That doesn't happen a lot with the BIC program because it's so unique. But you can imagine applying to a graduate program in English, and you write one personal statement and you send it out to 10 different programs. And it impacts you as you read it, as somebody who's evaluating it. I really find the passion from people in that. I find their situations engrossing, and those details that indicate that you have looked into this program and will therefore be engaged once you get accepted. I think we look to see, who do we want sitting around the table once they're enrolled? And what kind of energy and interest do they bring? And sometimes the essay is really a tipping point for that. It's like, this person brings a lot of passion or expertise that they're curious about, that they want to dig deeper into and share with their peers, because I think that there's a lot of peer learning that happens in this program. So the essay, I love the question, Adam, because it indicates your interest in the essay, in the personal statement, but never underestimate the power of a personal statement.
Great, so I think that's all that is in the chat for now. If you have any more questions, feel free to either unmute or you can write them in. You can see.
So I think that wraps up our lunchtime. I hope you guys went off camera, had a chance to grab a bite without feeling you were chewing on video. Again, we have some admissions events in November on campus if you're able to join us. If you aren't and need a refresher, we have recorded this and we'll make sure that everybody who was registered for this event, above and beyond those who were able to participate, get links to that. And you can share if you know people who are interested in the program. That's a great way to let them in on it. But otherwise, we have your emails. We'll keep you up to date with all sorts of events. As you see, we have 4 different deadlines, so we'll continue to write to you and engage with you until our admission cycle is over in July. And other than that, here in New York, it's a beautiful, crisp fall day. And we share that with you as well as the information on the BIC program. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a good rest of the day and a great rest of the week.
There were 2 more new questions actually. posed by-
Yes, I'm sorry, and I just
Oh,
answered.
yeah.
The F2 can enroll part-time, but I'm not sure, Nancy. I believe they're required to do 9 credits, correct?
9 credits is full-time
Yeah.
at the BIC program.
So the F2 would not be able to enroll because the limitation with the government is that an F2 can only enroll part-time, which would be 6, anything less than 9. So we strongly recommend that the F2 apply for the change of status to F1.
Han, does that make sense to you? Did that help, that information? I'm gonna assume yes.
Yes, and then you can contact me and I can go over the process of applying for the change of status with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anybody does have any questions that we didn't cover, or you want more information, want to go a little bit deeper, make sure to contact Maribel, Michael, myself, Rebecca Rivera, who is our program manager, couldn't be here with us tonight. The BIC at ccny.cuny.edu is our email, and we are happy to make an individual Zoom meeting with you. So lots of ways to connect, and thank you all for being here, and we hope to see you apply.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.